Good afternoon, YouTube, and welcome back once again to Phatkat Collections. Got another RGMT watch, and this is their newest release, and this is the Recon Diver. So I don't have the specs on this quite yet. This watch is scheduled to release, I believe, on September 19th, which is when you guys are going to see the video. Maybe this is 19th or 20th. I think the 20th is when I'm going to release this. And so I wanted to share it with you guys. Normally, when I get a watch in, I don't always get it prior to the release date. So pretty cool, RGMT sent me this. So who's going to buy this? This is for you conservative watch lovers, the guys who are like, Phatkat, why would you wear that 70mm watch? Or even some of the RGMT watches, and they have a few that are really large. This is a perfect watch for you. So let's take a look. So let me give you a couple close-ups here. We're going to just talk about what I think the specs are, and I can give you guys sort of the specifications that I'm pretty certain are in this watch. So RGMT is pretty good about using sapphire crystal on a lot of their watches. So I'm going to venture to guess this probably has that. Again, I don't have the specs yet because I'm actually filming this video prior to the release date. So I will put the link in the description. Pick it up while you can. It seems like the Dartmouth brands, and when I say Dartmouth, I mean RGMT, Nubeo, Spinnaker. A lot of them really sell out pretty quick. And I feel like RGMT tends to make watches sort of in a limited edition run, and then once they sell a bunch of them, then once there's a few left, like with anything, supply and demand dictates price, they'll raise the price. But a lot of their watches have sold out, which says a lot. Like, people have been getting pretty excited about this brand for a while now. My YouTube channel has definitely given some, I think, giving this brand some recognition. And, you know, it's not like I'm really saying anything that's really over the top. It's not like this watch is, you know, reinventing the wheel. It's a nice quality watch. So price point, I have no idea what this is going to cost. Again, I'll put the link in the description. Also, for you folks who don't like to look at my face while I'm recording these videos, and, you know, it's okay. You know, I know some of you just really want to see the watch. There's a link in the description for this watch in the up close and personal series of videos that I'm doing with every watch review now. I do apologize. Sometimes I forget to do those reviews, but I'm trying to get into the habit of just like do one video that's up close and personal, and then immediately right after do the standard format. And the reason some folks do like the standard format is because, you know, we've built kind of like a little bit of rapport over the years. You guys will continue to come back to the channel. It is sort of entertainment and information, right? And also, it's nice to see the watch like on the person, right? And so whether you look at this watch, I mean, you say, oh, that watch looks ridiculous on that guy. He's too small for, you know, a big 70mm watch. Or they're like the opposite. Oh, you know, that watch is, you know, just not your style, whatever. People are always going to have their opinions, and that's okay. But I want to at least give these watches, you know, I want to give you folks the opportunity to see these watches sort of in a format where you care about, right? And so I'm still going to do what I do, right? I'm not going to let you dictate what I do, but I do think it's helpful just to see the watch sometimes. And so you'll get both. So both videos are linked to each other in the description, as well as the link to the watch. And let's talk about it. So let me come back and just, so I'm going to show you the close-ups here. Again, we have, this is done in the royal blue, which is, you know, it's a pretty basic watch. This is very, I hate to say Submariner-ish, but, you know, we're all familiar with the Submariner, and a lot of watches sort of take inspiration from them. And just like the Rolex Submariner took inspiration from other watches, you know, there's only so much you can do with, like, I think this is a 42mm, if I'm not, just by looking at it. Let me just put a ruler on it. So at the bezel, yeah, 42 at the case, which extends a little bit past the bezel. Say 40 to 42. You want to kind of split the difference with me. 41mm is what you're going to get with this watch. Anytime we have a traditional 3-link bracelet, 41mm watch, and just sort of a basic dial, people are like, oh, it's a Rolex Submariner homage. It's not really. Like, there's only so many changes you can make to a watch to make it, people not compare it to that, right? And so I think if you are a fan of like that size and just kind of the basic style, you'll like this watch. It has the crown at the number 8 position on the dial. Bezel on this, I always hate mentioning bezel because it's not really very important to me. Like, the only time a bezel will be important is if you paid a lot of money for a watch and the bezel's like flopping all over the place or really gritty, then it's possible you've got a defect, right? By whatever company, right? I've had that happen with like $20 watches. But for the most part, like, bezels are great, but I will say that this one is exceptional. There's really no back play at all. Lines up perfectly with at the center of the 12 o'clock. And it's there's no left and right wobble. And I even consider a bezel that moves a little a fantastic bezel. This is super tight, right? You have a screw down crown, 3/16 stainless steel, the #1 checkbox when looking for quality in a watch. I do believe, don't quote me on it, I do believe it's going to come with a sapphire crystal, and they're probably going to have several different color variations. I didn't get to choose the blue. I would have chose the black. That's kind of like my default on watches that, again, for me, this watch, I'm not going to, candy coat it and say, oh, I'm super excited to get this, because this is a very conservative watch. And you folks who've been watching me for a while, I tend to like things that are a little bit different, I can even kind of, like, let me just, for a second here, we can even look at, it's not always about a watch being small, right? And that's not what my point is here. Like, this Spinnaker is definitely more my style, right? I just like the design of this watch more. I have it on this beautiful Stingray strap, right? This is definitely more my style, but doesn't make this not an exceptional watch, right? It's, and also, like, so who's going to buy this, right? When you have, let's say you have several pro divers, some basic Aragons. This is starting to get similar to a lot of watches on the market. And I think the person who's going to buy this is either going to be like an RGMT collector and they want every single RGMT watch, and a new one comes out and they want it in their lineup. It doesn't matter, right? Or the person who's going to buy this maybe has a bunch of different, like, similar Submariner style dive watches. And remember, it is called the Recon diver, right? And looking to add another dive watch, and they don't have an RGMT, and a lot of the other RGMTs really don't fit the bill for them. This is, I think, the most, I'm going to say cleanest, the most basic conservative watch that RGMT has come out with, right? And so, I think it does its own thing of a very large, for you folks who don't like branding, you're really gonna get upset about it. They got branding on they have the little logo. It looks like a couple chevrons on the buckle, which is a dual push button deployant clasp. You have a safety latch, 3 levels of micro adjustment, is a milled clasp. You have a nice finished look. Screw-on case back. It does have the exhibition window. I would have liked to have seen them do non-exhibition window on this, since it's called a diver. I always like to see, I know why they do it. I get it. I think most people out there probably would like or prefer an exhibition window. But when it comes to dive watches, I just like, when you're going to use the word diver in it, I typically want to see a non-exhibition window. It's not to say that it's weak or anything, but I just feel like you can't go with a solid piece of stainless steel screwed onto the case back. So the less points you can have to leaking, the better. I've never had a exhibition window ever leak, but then again, I'm not a diver, right? So again, it's an awesome watch. I think it's going to be for the person who doesn't have an RGMT in their collection. They've been wanting to add one, but they just haven't had anything that meets their conservative style. Or the person who's, they're, let's say, again, they collect RGMT and they want to have every RGMT in the collection. But if you're going to look at this watch, because I don't know what the price point is on this, I'm going to guess and say $300 to $400. The person who's going to buy this, if you're looking for the most affordable diver, this is not it. Because you can pick up, pro divers, grand divers, exceptional values in the $100 price range. This probably has an H35 movement. It is an automatic. So you have to ask yourself, well, why am I paying more for it, right? And so I'm trying to give you guys a reason on why somebody might pay a little more for an RGMT watch. I'm not going to sit here and tell you the RGMT watch is better than a Spinnaker and vice versa. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the RGMT watch is better than Invicta. It's not. But they're comparable, right? And when you look at a watch, one person might say this is more fully featured because of the potential sapphire crystal, which the Invictas are never going to have, right? But a lot of watches do have sapphire that don't cost $300, right? And this might come in at $150. I just don't know. Point is, if you like the watch and you're interested, click the link in the description, take a look at what it's going for, and if you do get one, let me know. I always love to hear when you folks buy these watches and get them, and let me know what you think about them, right? So let's throw on the wrist here. So I am 5'8". I weigh 182 pounds. I have a 7-inch wrist. And so this is what a watch like this looks like on a guy my size, my height, and my weight. Again, typical wrist. I know some of you folks will come on my channel and be like, oh, I'm a big guy. I have really big wrists. And I'm not hating on anybody, but sometimes like big guys, they use the word big instead of using the word fat, right? And so sometimes if you have like an enormous wrist because you are extremely overweight, you do have some room to move here. Most watches, though, will can be worn anywhere from like 6.5 to like 9 inches. But again, if you are a big fat boy and you know, because typically like big muscular guys tend to still have small wrists, right? And 7-inch is not a small wrist, in my opinion. I don't consider 9-inch a big wrist. It's a larger wrist than a lot of, you know, I think the average is like 6 to 7 inches. So, you know, the point is that wear a watch because you like it. Wear it because it brings you enjoyment and you like the way it you know, looks on your wrist and you like the features in it, you know, which most of them are all about the same. But don't worry about like, oh, well, I'm a big boy and that's going to look too small on me. Do you like the watch? If you do, then great. Because nobody's really looking at you and saying, oh, that watch is so little on that, you know, that big man, that big boy. Whether you're muscular or fat, whatever the case, nobody's looking at that and saying, you know, oh, look, what a small girly watch. No, people just don't think like that. Only snob, pompous YouTube influencers do that shit, and then the trolls in the comment section. So, you know, buy it because you like it. And if you're a small guy, like I'm not a big guy. I don't think I'm a small guy, but I'm like an average height, right? Maybe the average height is probably a little taller than 5'8", right? You throw cowboy boots on me, I'm pushing 5'10", baby. But the point is you gotta be happy with yourself. And, you know, if you... when I say like small, right? Let's say you consider me a small guy, 5'8", 180 pounds, right? It doesn't really matter. Like if I wear a 70mm watch, that watch looks big on a small guy and it looks big on a big guy. So at the end of the day, don't worry about what other people think. Buy a watch because you like it, because it, you know, it gets you excited about owning it. If you're a watch collector, for instance, you know, and you're always looking like I am. Even though I get free watches, I'm constantly looking, right? And it's a lot of fun for me to discover something that, one, is affordable, that I don't have in my collection. It might be a $50 AliExpress watch. Sometimes watches like that will get me more excited than a watch that's, you know, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times the price. So again, if you buy things that really make you happy, don't worry about these pompous snobs in the watch world. If Rolex is your thing, then buy a Rolex, right? But I will tell you, I just want to pick on Rolex for a little bit. I was watching this guy on Instagram, and just so you know, watches are not, you don't buy watches for investment. Of course, there are watches that you can buy and have them appreciate, but now with the uncertainty of even the Rolex brand, from everything that's going on with what you know, with the whole like China made, I can't speak to that. I don't know where their watches are made. I don't really fucking care. Are they a nice watch? They are. Are they quality watch? Great. You know, but so is a watch like this and like these brands, right? And so I would say, you know, when I watch this, I forget an Instagram account I just subscribe to. It's where he records people going in. He buys, you know, their watches, luxury brands, gold, coins, that kind of stuff. And it's pretty funny. It's pretty entertaining. And what I find amazing about this mentality with a lot of folks is that they're like, oh, Rolex investment. But yet every single Rolex that's coming into his shop, he's not paying retail for. He's paying less. So it's an interesting thought process. I really will never understand it, why people think they can buy something new, pay retail for it, and then try to sell it, and you think it's going to be worth more just because it's a Rolex. You know, it's just ridiculous to me. So again, you know, put all that aside, buy it because you like it, and don't think you're gonna, like, these are not, you know, yeah, you might buy a specific luxury brand if it's a, I don't know how you do your research. I don't believe the people are like, I did my research because I Googled it. You know, I think with anything you think you're going to have appreciate, there's always the chance it won't, no matter what it is. And so I think if you just buy things based on the fact you like it and you're not really worried whether it appreciates or depreciates, or you can sell it or not sell it, you buy it because it makes you happy. That's the #1 reason to buy a watch. So thanks for watching. Have a great day, folks. Do subscribe to the channel and have a good day.